Linda, hun er kommet helt fra Norge, og hun ved rigtig, rigtig meget om børn og økologi, udeliv, pædagogik osv. Og vi har bedt Linda om at holde sit oplæg på engelsk, fordi det er ikke, nogle gange kan det godt være svært at forstå norsk. Sådan har jeg det i hvert fald nogle gange. Så, men altså, man kan sagtens tale dansk til hende, for hun er faktisk ret god til at forstå dansk. Så hvis der er nogen, der har nogle spørgsmål, må man gerne spørge på dansk. Men velkommen, Linda.
I heard about this fantastic project, Havet til Maver, already in 2006. So the rumors had already reached Norway. And we've had the pleasure of having some of the workers from Havet til Maver in our seminar, which is every year in January on this day. So at the same time we're meeting here, as about as many people, if not more, meeting in Oslo to a sort of national day to talk about the similar types of projects. So I hope we can continue to inspire each other. And Thomas Hartung, who introduced me to this project, he also sent me these fantastic, inspiring, playful books that I've given out, and I take them with me everywhere when I'm telling about what these sort of projects can mean. We've done things quite differently, but I will try to show a bit of the way we have gone, and also with a bit of a different age group. Yeah. I work at in Norwegian Universitet for Miljø og Biovitenskap. It sounds very important, but it was really the agriculture school until agriculture wasn't popular anymore. So now it's they're soon going to change it to another name, but not agriculture. I work at the teacher education program. So we have 120 who are becoming teachers in agriculture schools or in science subjects in all Norwegian schools. It's in the program that I'm supposed to speak about Nordisk projekter, but I didn't realize that. Maybe it was one of these language things. So I'm only speaking about what happens in Norway in this field, and called it from the field to the table: Norwegian initiatives for farming and food education. I think Havet til Maver, and also what we do in Norway, is a part of a almost worldwide movement now, a realization that we have to come back to some basics. I hear it from my birthplace in California. I hear it from projects in Africa. Everywhere these sort of projects are beginning, because we realize that we have to do something, and we have to do it within the structure of the school to give the children again a chance to have a relationship to nature, a relationship to where food comes from, these basic tasks. So I think we're right in the middle of a trend which is very actual in all parts of the world. We have also a long history. It was mentioned earlier today. Almost continuous. This is in the middle of Oslo, 4 hectares, which still are there untouched, although there's a fight every year to save this place. There's 370 fruit trees that were planted very long ago, and we had a celebration to celebrate 100 years of this garden in Oslo. Unfortunately, most of the other school gardens died out in the course of the 60s, the 70s, and 80s. They disappeared. And I came as a teacher to a school in Bergen in the end of this 1979, and began teaching biology up here and started moving down. And I realized that biology could only be boring if they didn't have a basis in practical experience in nature. So I looked at the plan. I was working at a Waldorf school or Steiner school, I don't know what you say here. And it's actually in the plan of the school that they should have a garden. So I asked my colleagues, where's the garden? And they laughed and they said, yeah, you come from California. You don't know how we have it here. They meant that it rains a lot, and it does. So you have to have plan A and B, but it's very green, so things grow. So it was just a matter of getting started. So that I started digging, and we had a garden for the smallest children and a garden for the next age, and so on. They get, at the most, I think there were 4 gardens. But I also realized they needed experience from a farm to understand the whole cycle. So in almost 28 years or something, I've been taking 14, 15-year-olds to a farm. One time we were here in Denmark because their farms are not so big in Norway as they are here. If you're going to put 14, 15-year-olds, 30 of them, in work, then you have to have quite a big farm. So I've been doing that 2 weeks on the farm with 14, 15-year-olds in many years. And one time when I was telling about this work, there was a professor from the Agricultural University sitting there, and soon he invited me to hold a lecture at the university. And before I knew it, there was a national project which was called Levende Skole, Living School. And they had formulated this sort of question, how can we contribute to fostering hope, courage, and the ability for children to participate in a productive way in their surroundings? And it had 4 sort of legs to stand on. One part would go on transforming school grounds, because regardless where the school is in Norway, it can be high in the mountains, it can be at the coast, wherever, it's just the outside area is a sort of triangle, a block of asphalt with a fence around. So we had to do something with the whole grounds, and a part of it would be digging up and making gardens. So we also started with partnerships between schools and farms for hands-on experience. We call this the farm as a pedagogical resource. Many of the school gardens would then be at the farms, like it is here. We also had courses taking natural science outside. That's very radical, doing natural science in nature. It's very difficult to get this going, and we also worked with developing place-based local curriculum. How does a school make a plan that is rooted in the local community, you could say. The project, it was supported by a lot of ministries. We had a joke that it was only the defense ministry who didn't contribute, and if they knew how poor the physical fitness was of 18-year-old boys, then they would also contribute. But we got a project. We got, at that time, 8 million kroner, which was a lot of money, for a 4-year project. And this was used to set pilot schools, get them started with help from advisors and help from teachers who had experience to make a local curriculum. And we did this also through having courses at the university. These courses, there were 4 courses at that time: design of outdoor learning spaces, ecological school gardens, farm school partnerships, and outdoor science education. Not the first one has gone over to the landscape architecture department, but the others, we still do these courses. We've done them since 1996. The course concept, you can say that everyone finds their own local solutions. You can't just, someone was talking about the huge distance in I wonder how it would be in Norway. I think one time in one commune, I spent 12 days visiting projects, and we drove 2,400 kilometers. Yeah. So we don't have a solution, but we help projects start. And it's very strongly based on participation, not this thing that is usual when schools think they should get some information about what's going on locally. Then they take the pupils on a field trip, and the pupils stand there with their hands in their pockets, and somebody starts telling them. The farmer, we didn't want that. We wanted hands-on. We wanted them to be in activity. So it's meant to be for all 10 grades of grade school, junior high school, also kindergartens. It can be done as intensive periods, also projects, or it can be spread throughout the year, and it can be done for children with special needs. But we always say every child needs this. Every pupil needs this. The courses that we still hold, next week I'll be in Troms, almost highest up, holding the 4th year course for farm and school initiatives. So they come already, most of them, they are partners. They found each other. A farmer and a school, a farmer and a teacher will come. And they are to create a common vision. They build practical initiatives. This isn't a course where you sit and take notes and go home and write something about that. This is a course where you only come to the course to be able to go outside and do a project one-to-one. So that what they do for their 15 university credits is that they document the work that they do, so that this can be used to present to the community, to the local politicians, and they can see what is happening. It's also built on experiential learning. If I manage to get so far, then we have our own learning theory that we've developed from this work. We follow them closely as advisors, try to visit them where they are during the first development phase. We have an emphasis on appropriate activities for different age groups so that it's not just one answer for all different ages. And the creation of a network through good social relationships. We have to have, every time we meet, at least one big party. And we find places to have these courses. It's not hotels and it's not in the cities, but it's somewhere that's hard to come to and hard to get away from. Islands are very, very well used in this for this purpose. Just to show you an example, because there are a lot of good examples I'd like to show you. This is a place in the West, Ireland, with these vertical sort of stone walls, a little valley down at the bottom. And they have made a curriculum for their place-based education, where every class, I only had room here for the first 7 classes, it says what they do in the fall, what they do in the winter, what they do in the spring. Like, for instance, in the 3rd class, they are going to follow the sheep through a whole year. So they are there when the sheep are sheared. When they come back in the winter, when the lambs are born, and then they follow them up to the mountain pastures in the early summer. And when they then begin in the 4th class, then they will also be getting the sheep back from the pastures and making products of this meat. But they have, then the next year they'll follow the horse, get to know the horse, and they get to know the goat and the cow and so on. But at the same time, they have their own garden. They have work in nature, all the ways that were traditionally used earlier in that community. They also have a plan where you see all the subjects that they have in school related to the work they're doing outside, so that they can make this connection with knowledge of what is demanded from the school authorities so that they can use these things directly in the teaching that is done. I only have time to show you one little example. This is a farm right outside of Oslo, very near the big airport. So you can visit it if you're on a trip to Norway. It's an old farm with traditional buildings. The yellow building there is where the pupils will be each day. They walk from their school. And this is what you call in English a junior high school. They are 12 when they start, and they are 15, 16 when they're finished. These 3 years, which now for us is the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th class. And they will be there at this farm the whole day, a whole week, each day. In the fall and in the spring in the 8th class. In the 9th class, they come back a week after summer holidays, and in the 10th class in the middle of winter. I just quickly show some pictures from this, what they're doing. They're feeding the animals, they're cooking, serving meals, also a very simple kitchen. They're putting in a big garden. They will use the vegetables to make food. And of course, all the daily tasks that have to be done. They repair the fences and so on. Here they're also working in the garden when they come back. It's a wonderful moment when they come back from summer holidays. Many are there during the summer and help to take care of the garden 1 day a week. But many of them haven't been there a while, and when they come around the corner and they see this garden, and it's wow. They also have a chance to sell their vegetables in front of a local store. So they've made their own stand. And then there's an animal that is killed on the farm by a professional, butcher, I think, each week. And they have to cut up the meat and package it, and they will use this for making meals the rest of the year. So the farmer who does this, also a teacher, she asked them one time that was so quiet, "Is this terrible work?" She said, and they said, "Shh, we're concentrating." Or the boy who was looking, he was using this meat grinder, and he looked at the one side, and he looked at the other side, and he said, "Is this ground meat?" Kjøttfarse. So a lot of... in the 10th class, they spend a whole week planning a feast, planning a banquet for their grandparents. So they will use the food, they find local recipes from this area, and they will make a dinner, and they will entertain also their grandparents and tell them what they have learned. So that's going on this Friday evening, as it does since they have 6 parallel classes. Also, 180 10th graders. This will be happening every Friday the next weeks. I did a survey from the university about what the pupils say they learned. I just asked them, written form, what have you learned? 10th class. I've learned about the path of food from the soil to the table. I have learned that milk comes from farms and all food comes from animals and plants. Not bad. How should you know? Not when you go in the store. I learned that it's demanding to work on a farm. It's not just something for the dumb ones. And one boy wrote, "It's a revolutionary way to get useful information." Yeah. And then there was one girl. I know it was a girl because it was very, very written very prettily. And she said, "I didn't learn anything, comma, just that I should never give up." Yeah. I learned a lot about food, about locally produced food and organic methods. I gained more self-confidence through doing the task at the farm. I learned that I can work with everyone in the class. This social part, this is something they all mention. At the Rio Convention, I'm almost finished. At the Rio Convention, they talk about sustainability as having 3 components: the economical, the ecological, and the social cultural sustainability. It is very difficult for farms to survive, especially small farms in Norway today. It's been that way a long time. This gives them one more leg to stand on. It reintegrates them in their local community. Many small communities think that this is a help to get the young people to come back to the community because they've experienced their roots, they've experienced that they can contribute something. So there's economical sustainability, the ecological they learn in working with living organisms, working with living soil, and the social and cultural sustainability that they learn all this handwork that was used to make the food from the landscape in all hundreds of years, thousands of years. We have a theory of learning which we based on this out, and I don't think I have time to go into it. It's actually with a point of departure in John Dewey, his doing by learning and reflection. But we've looked at it in the concrete situation, how they come in and they form relationships. They form relationships to the soil, to the animals, to the plants, and to the farmer. And this is then used, they experience, they get insight, empathy, and they experience a certain degree of mastery or failure. And this, again, can further lead to knowledge. Yeah, it was a short time. Thank you. There are articles and information on this internet site, and maybe we'll meet again. I hope we don't have to have 2 days at the same time in Norway and Denmark. We can maybe take you to Norway and our teachers to Denmark. Thank you.